Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Process Rauwill, and welcome to my first video. So, essentially, I've been watching a lot of basketball channels as of recently, and I've really been just getting into all those channels, and I thought, why not just try it out one time, you know? Everybody kind of wants to try to be a YouTuber at least once, and I decided, this is going to be my try. So essentially, I'm a Sixers fan, and I decided to try to break down our draft. This is obviously meant for anybody who wants to know about the draft, but I just kind of want to talk about who we could draft and why we'll draft them, give you some strengths, some weaknesses, give you some Sixers team weaknesses. If you enjoy these types of videos, I'd be willing to do another draft analysis for another team. So the Sixers' needs are shooting, and shooting. We don't have any shooters that aren't at the 5 position, and obviously Joel Embiid is hurt, and I don't know how he's going to recover from his injury. He's just very injury prone, and I really hope that he's just not Greg Odom. I know that's like a curse word for Sixers fans, and you never want to see a player's career end up like that, but we could just talk about what we saw last season, which was great shooting from the 5 position and just unbelievable how good that guy was. If you ever just watched a game or just watch highlights, it's just ridiculous. So he can obviously lead a team. He's a great scorer. He's athletic. He doesn't really have the playmaking aspect. We did see that at Kansas towards the end of his career, or not his career, but of his college career. And obviously injuries. We don't know if he's going to come back from that injury as athletic, or if he's going to have to just play below the rim. I don't know how that's going to work out. But next up, coming off of a Jones fracture, is Ben Simmons. That seems to be the common theme with our roster, is just injuries. So what Joel Embiid lacks in passing and playmaking, Ben Simmons excels at, and I think I saw an article somewhere that he grew, but for right now I'm just going to say that he's 6'10". He's got unbelievable size, passing, just great vision all around. There's been some player comparisons to Magic Johnson, some to LeBron James. I really don't know. He feels like a star, but we haven't seen him take an NBA court. If you looked at his Summer League highlights, which I'm probably going to show, or LSU highlights, I'm not so sure yet. But it's just incredible watching that guy go. But he's a terrible shooter. Just horrible. I don't know how many threes he attempted at LSU, but I think it was about 3 threes. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look that up. I might display it on the screen if I'm wrong. But he's also injury prone, as I said, with the Jones fracture. That's never a good sign. Another player that we got that's a really good asset and who I believe will be a core contributor is Dario Saric. He provides a lot of shooting from the 4. I can see him in a lot of pick and pop situations. He's a great playmaker and ball handler, which I was not expecting to see this season. And it's really nice that if the Sixers had Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Dario Saric playing this season, they probably would have been the top 3 candidates for Rookie of the Year. So it's awesome just to see that as a fan, and we just gotta hope that if you're a Sixers fan, or if you hate them, you never really want to see a player fail, unless I guess you're just really anti-Sixer. But we just gotta stay healthy. That's the problem. But so Saric's 3-pointer is, at the beginning it was struggling, and then it started to get there at the end. But he's not really good at defense. That is what I would say is his number 1 weakness, is just defense. It's just really about his potential and how good he can get and build upon what he already is, being in that Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid situation. I could really see him flourish in this system and just be kind of stretch the floor for Ben Simmons a little bit and provide shooting, but we still don't have enough shooters. And just a couple more players that I think we should keep for assets, or just like make sure we re-sign these players, are Robert Covington. I believe he'll be a great asset, or we could keep him off the bench. TJ McConnell, I don't think he'll be on like a championship roster. He's really good friends with Joel Embiid. If you've ever seen his Twitter profile picture, Joel Embiid's that is, it's pretty funny. I'm going to show the picture probably, but he could be a really good, solid bench player, and he could provide that playmaking when Ben Simmons is out. And I also think we should keep Richaun Holmes just as an asset. I don't know. He made strides in every major statistical category, so obviously that's nice to see that little progression. But now we're just going to get into the assets. The first one is Josh Jackson, and I decided to put him first because I believe he's the most likely asset, or the most likely draft pick. His strengths are defense, which obviously he has great size, which I'll talk about later, but he's kind of like, I think the player comparison is like Jimmy Butler or Kawhi Leonard. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, he's definitely really, his size and athleticism just provide him with incredible defensive ability. His playmaking is really good. He can definitely he can't really, it's hard to say that he can like create for himself, which he can, but he just can't like knock down the jumper on consistent basis. He'll like slash to the rim most of the time, and then if like somebody cuts him off, he can dish it out to like a guard who can shoot. He obviously, what comes with his defense is his great size and athleticism. I just read something that kind of compared him to Andrew Wiggins, which is like a little bit quicker of a step. He does have similar dimensions to Wiggins. Wiggins doesn't really have the greatest defensive capabilities, and that's what we thought coming out of Kansas that he would be as well, but they're both from Kansas, so I would say that's a good player comparison in my opinion. But his weakness is shooting, which we definitely need a lot more of. He's not really going to fit the roster in terms of that, but he'll provide an instant impact on defense, which will be nice to see this season. And he'll get us wins is what I'm saying, but I don't think he's the best option, but he is the most likely option. Next up is Darren Fox, who is the second best player on the board behind Jackson. I think, personally, Darren Fox is better. It's just like, it kind of really depends on who you ask, who's better, Josh Jackson or Darren Fox. But kind of what pushed me ahead for him is that John Wall said that he might have the best career. Obviously, Darren Fox plays a lot like John Wall, and you kind of like to see a player who's similar to you kind of succeed. Kind of reminds me of, or kind of reminds John Wall of a young John Wall. And so anyways, his other strengths are his good size, his passing is on an NBA level, his athleticism is great, he's a lefty, and he's good for the locker room. That's kind of like something that doesn't show up on the stats. It's like really nice to see is that he won't kind of have like the Boogie Cousins syndrome. Not to like kind of ostracize Boogie Cousins fans, but he's not good for the locker room, and Darren Fox is. His weaknesses are he's bad at shooting, which the Sixers desperately need. This isn't really a weakness, but it's kind of like a weakness for the Sixers standpoint, is that he's a primary ball handler. And the Sixers already have one of those in Simmons. And he's not really the greatest shooter, so it'll be kind of weird to have two primary ball handlers on the floor that demand the ball so much. So I don't really see Ben Simmons and Darren Fox meshing well together. Also, Fox is really, really skinny. His body isn't quite on an NBA level yet. And this is kind of a problem because Fox was a huge slasher in college, and this will kind of take away from his numbers unless he can really hit the weight room this summer. I guess that's all I have to say about Darren Fox. Moving on to Jason Tatum, which I don't think we'll draft him, but we'll have to wait and see. His strengths are good size for a wing. Jump shot is a threat. Defense won't really kill you, and he's a real competitor, which means that obviously he has that really competitive gene and he just wants to win. Not saying that these guys above him don't have that gene, but he's kind of like really marked for that gene. And so obviously it's nice to see that he has a great jump shot, which is what we need. We can just kick it out to maybe Jason Tatum and he'll take a three and he'll make it. But it's the weaknesses that, like, there's one weakness that really gets me that kind of like spells out bust, which is his athleticism is not really there. Obviously there are a ton of players who aren't like crazy athletes that still succeed, but it's just rough for players that just don't have that athleticism. I hope I'm wrong about this, but his athleticism just might hold him back as a player, and he just might, if he just can't find like a game that like really suits him, he could really be left in the dust, because he's kind of already like starting a steps behind like all these players with like crazy athleticism, like Dennis Smith Jr. and Darren Fox, and I don't know how that will affect him, but he also has great work ethic, which might make up for that, but I'm just a little bit apprehensive about Jason Tatum. And lastly, we have Malik Monk, and Monk doesn't really fit the draft prospect of the number, or the draft stock of the number 3 pick. He fits in with what we want to do, but we need to trade down to get him, because it would kind of be like almost a waste to draft him with a 3rd overall pick when we could get something else for him. So we need to trade down. The Sixers have been shopping this for a draft day trade. One report said Jahlil Okafor in the 3rd pick for Ben McLemore in the 5th pick from the Kings. McLemore isn't really the most exciting player, but I think, from what I've heard, he just probably needs like a change of scenery, and that will kind of help him out, help him develop better. Maybe he could come off the bench, and even if he doesn't like succeed, he's obviously a trading asset that we can use later down the line. Malik Monk's strengths are his shooting is on an NBA level, which is really nice to see. That's really what we need, is just shooters, so we can make up for Ben Simmons' jump shot. But I hope Ben Simmons can just develop that. He's also super athletic, and if you've ever seen him just play at Kentucky, he'll always throw down on guys in transition. I actually don't know his vertical, but I'm pretty sure it's in the high 30s, maybe even a 40, I'm not quite sure. But he didn't really get to show it off at Kentucky, but he can really create for himself fairly well. Hopefully, when he's in the NBA, we kind of give him more of that ability just to be able to develop that, because it's nice to have not only Ben Simmons' creating ability, but also another player. His weaknesses all stem from his size. He's just small for his position, and this kind of makes it so he has to like jump really high just to like shoot the ball over other defenders. But the huge part about his size is he's a liability on defense. I don't exactly know what the average height of an NBA shooting guard is. I'm pretty sure it's like 6'7", 6'6", and based on these numbers, he's 3 to 4 inches shorter than the average NBA shooting guard, which is not good to see that, but I feel like he'll definitely be able to make up for that with his shooting, and if he just puts on a little bit more muscle, then he'll also make up for that lack of size. But he'll always kind of be a little bit of a liability on defense, and that's why I believe his draft stock is so low. But this is the trade that I want to see the most. So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please hit the subscribe button. I know this video wasn't the greatest. I already know that. But I hope in time I'll grow just to be a better commentator. It's obviously hard just like talking to a mic and like it's not an actual person, but I hope my channel will get better, and I hope you'll evolve with me and really just choose the direction of the channel. If you suggest anything and you're probably the first suggestion in the video, I will probably do that video. I'll comment and tell you, yo, I'm probably going to do this video idea. Do you have any suggestions? And the same goes for this video. If you really have any like constructive criticism that you would like to tell me, like, yo, your basketball knowledge sucks, we should take this person, and I believe that because so on and so forth. Or if I just got like some of the strengths and weaknesses wrong, I encourage you to comment that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. This has been my first video of the 76ers draft prospects, and yeah, I'm out.